What's up, guys? MinecraftTutorials here, and today I'm bringing you my first tutorial. I'm not sure if it's gonna go well. I'm hoping it's gonna go well. So I'm gonna do something basic. It's just going to be how to install single player commands for Minecraft 1.3.2, and I'll be bringing a lot of stuff in the future, like, it's going to be plugin tutorials, how to make mods, how to make plugins for bucket servers. So all the things you'll need, it'll be in the description for this. What you'll need is the single player commands download, which is going to be in the description. You'll need WinRAR, which will be in the description. It is free. And I believe you'll need Minecraft. So first thing I want to do is open up Minecraft and just go to options, force update, and done, and log in. This will make it so it will just log in for you. I'm using this program called My Screen Recorder 3.3. I'm not sure if it'll go well that much, so I'm hoping it will. So I'm gonna try it. If it doesn't, I'll use Fraps or Hypercam or something else. I'm not gonna use that crappy stuff that has, when you record, it has like a Bandit Cam up here, like Bandit Cam does. So I'm gonna pause this video right here, and then I'll come back when it's done. Force updating. Alright, guys, it's done. So now what we'll do is just hit quit game. And you're going to go to this. It will be in the description. You can go to Minecraft forums, but I just like my MinecraftDL.com. It's like not as laggy as Minecraft forums. There's a whole bunch of crap on it. Well, I'm not calling it crap. It's just a lot of stuff on it. So I just click this download single player commands for mod for Minecraft 1.3.2 now. So just click it. Then it should take you to an ad fly, which will basically, if it has 10,000 visitors, the guy who made this will get $5. Pretty simple. Then this will come up, and just if you're running cool Chrome, I'm gonna get keep because it's alright. Then I'm just gonna drag it to my desktop if it does. Right. Oh, hold on. There we go. So basically, just drag it to your desktop or just open it, which I basically did. Then you'll do is first thing you want to do is just read these two, which I already done before, and then I just want to click this and then shift click all the way up to the top here, so it will highlight all this. Then once you have that, just keep that there. Then you want to open up your start and just type in %app data %, and if that doesn't work, type in run, like Windows XP, I think it's called, and then just type it here, then okay. Then you should bring it up to your roaming. If it brings you to here, if you type it in just right here, just click your roaming. Then you should be taking this one, just go to .minecraft, and then you want to open up your bin. Then this is, if it's a jar, just right click, open with archiver, as you see there, so I'm just going to open it because it already has it. Then minimize that. Then the first thing what I'm going to do is like this meta INF, because that basically denies all the mods. There we go. So now what we can do is just highlight all those back. Click and drag on the jar, that classes. Click it and drag it, or just randomly that in the thing. Just make sure you're not dragging them into a folder, which I think it's, there we go. Then you'll see the world is here. I'm not sure if that really works yet, but we'll see. Then you can exit all the things you have open. And open up Minecraft. yeah, and just click the login. Then we'll just basically wait for this to load up. Alright, and that's my favorite splash text. Oh. Alright, I'm just gonna join this random world. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm just gonna join it. And there you go. It's a single player commands version 4.1. And there it's back a mod if you want to update it. To have proof that it actually works, I'm gonna type help. Then then this is all the stuff. Again, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to give me candy sausage one. So yeah, that doesn't work. I'm just going to do /POS and then so you can do Canon. Just to shoot TNT. So yeah, there you go, guys. This is my first tutorial on this YouTube account. So if you guys like it, please subscribe, rate, and comment for more. I've always been bringing a lot of tutorials. That's why I have it named MinecraftTutorials for a reason. And so yeah, guys, I'm MinecraftTutorials, and I'm out. Peace.